The first time I saw my HOA president naked in my hot tub, she was holding a champagne flute like she'd just conquered Rome. And I was standing there in my own backyard wondering if I'd accidentally wandered into the Twilight Zone. No invitation, no permission, just Karen. Real name HOA, but trust me, Karen fits, lounging in my brand new spa like it came with her mortgage. And that's the moment I decided if she wanted to treat my property like a public pool, I was about to give her the most unforgettable swim of her life. Let me back up a second. 3 weeks earlier, life in Woodpine Ridge was quiet, suspiciously quiet, the kind of suburban calm that smells like cut grass and passive aggression. I'd moved there for peace. Low crime, tree-lined sidewalks, the illusion that adults knew how to mind their own business. My name's Sam, by the way, software developer, introvert, the guy who prefers debugging code over arguing with humans. I saved for months to buy myself a birthday gift, a top-of-the-line hot tub. Jet strong enough to unknot your spine, LED lights that glowed like a sci-fi movie, Bluetooth speakers that cued smooth jazz the second my toe hit the water. It wasn't just a tub. It was therapy. Sanctuary. My little bubble of leave me alone. I paid extra for a property survey, sharp, clean boundary lines. Built a privacy fence. Installed cameras. I thought I covered every angle. What I forgot was the HOA. Karen showed up one afternoon wearing a visor and carrying a clipboard like it was a weapon. She leaned over my fence crack and gave that tight smile. The one people use when they're pretending to compliment you, but mentally filing a complaint. Lovely addition, she said, chewing gum like it owed her money. Technically, outdoor installations should be reviewed by the board. I calmly explained, permits filed within property lines. HOA had zero jurisdiction behind my fence. She scribbled something anyway. That was red flag number 1. Red flag number 2. 2 days later, I checked my security feed and saw Cheryl and Doug from down the street climbing over my locked gate in bathrobes like suburban ninjas. I called Karen. She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, relax, Sam. Sharing builds community. Sharing builds community. In my locked backyard. So I changed the locks, upgraded the system, put up a polite sign, private property. Trespassers will be reported. I thought that was that. Then came the weekend, I went away. I didn't announce it, but apparently Karen tracks my car like it's a migration pattern. I came home Sunday afternoon, walked around the side of my house, and froze. Balloons, folding tables, fairy lights strung across my fence, a Bluetooth speaker blasting early 2000s dance hits. And in the center of it all, my hot tub roaring with bubbles and entitlement. Karen lifted her glass when she saw me. "Oh good, you're back," she called out. "We were just saying how lucky the neighborhood is to have a communal amenity like this." Communal. Amenity. My birthday gift was now a floating margarita swamp full of strangers in swimwear. Some guy I'd never met had his purple trunks hanging low while he poured champagne into Karen's glass. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I just turned around, walked inside, and shut the door. My hands weren't shaking with anger. They were shaking with inspiration. See, I have a friend from college, Devin, who works in industrial dye testing. A month earlier, he'd mentioned a heat-activated tracing compound. Totally safe. Invisible at room temperature. But once heated above 98 degrees, it turns a brilliant, unapologetic royal purple. I called him. Hypothetically, I said, "How fast can you ship me something educational?" 2 days later, a small brown package arrived. Inside, my masterpiece. I tested it in a bucket like a mad scientist. Clear water. Add heat. Boom. Deep grape villain energy swirling like cartoon chaos. I dipped an old sock in. It came out looking like it joined a circus. Even rinsed, it stayed purple. Beautiful. I installed it in one of the spa's fragrance pods. Invisible. Undetectable. Waiting. Then I set the bait. Parked my car down the street. Posted a fake weekend getaway photo with palm trees. Left sunscreen on the porch. Karen wasn't smart. She was nosy. And nosy people are predictable. Saturday, 3:47 p.m. The gate creaked open. Karen strutted in with her Bluetooth speaker and a bottle of sparkling cider. Behind her, Cheryl, Doug, a handful of HOA loyalists, and Yes Pool noodles. into someone else's yard. They fired up the jets. One by one, they sank in. Laughter, splashing, plastic cups clinking. 5 minutes passed. Then Jason, some younger guy, stared at his arm. Oh, is this normal? His skin was turning purple. Not bruised purple. Not sunburned purple. Popsicle purple. Cheryl screamed. Doug scrambled. Karen looked down at her legs glowing like royalty and shrieked. What is this? Chaos detonated. They scrambled out, slipping, yelling about lawsuits and chemical burns. One guy ran into a lawn chair and flipped backward. Karen stood there dripping violet water, pointing at the tub like it betrayed her. This is sabotage. I watched from upstairs, mute button on, smiling so hard my cheeks hurt. It was art. The group chat exploded that night. Memes everywhere. Someone photoshopped her face on a grimace. Another wrote a poem called The Lavender Menace. I didn't post a thing. Didn't need to. But Karen? She doubled down. Emergency HOA meeting. Complaint for chemical warfare. Claimed I'd created a hostile environment. At the meeting, she wore a turtleneck, still faintly lavender around the neck. I calmly handed out my property survey, permits, and a flash drive of unedited footage. Fence climbing. Champagne. Trespassing. Purple chaos. Silence filled the room. Rick from aboard cleared his throat. Wait, you were trespassing? Complaint dismissed. But here's the twist I didn't expect. A county health inspector showed up midweek because Karen had filed a hazard complaint. I welcomed him in, showed documentation, safety data. He chuckled. You're in the clear, he said. Then added casually, funny thing, we've had prior complaints about unauthorized HOA events. That stuck with me. That night, an anonymous message hit the HOA portal. Check the event fund records. Attached were spreadsheets, receipts, fake vendors, inflated expenses. Karen wasn't just nosy. She was skimming HOA funds. I printed a few pages and taped them anonymously to the clubhouse board. Whispers turned into audits. Audits turned into outrage. Cheryl resigned. Doug claimed he just came for shrimp. And still, Karen sued me. Emotional distress, psychological trauma, slightly purple hands interfering with her career. So I countersued. Trespassing, defamation, legal fees. Court day arrived smelling like floor polish and nerves. Neighbors filled the back rows. Karen sat in beige like she was auditioning for innocence. Her lawyer used phrases like chemical ambush. And we played the footage. Fence climbing, party setup, purple meltdown. The judge flipped through the financial audit reports. Alicia, my friend from high school and county event inspector, had filed her own affidavit about Karen's unpermitted Unity picnic that violated half a dozen codes. When I testified, I kept it simple. I warned her. I protected my property. The die was harmless. The trespassing wasn't. The judge didn't hesitate. I find in favor of the defendant on all counts. Karen ordered to pay damages, legal fees, defamation penalties. Her jaw dropped. And just like that, the empire fell. HOA voted her out within weeks. New president, Victor, retired Marine, personally apologized. Promised no more interference behind fences. Peace returned. Sometimes I sit in my hot tub now, quiet bubbles, soft jazz playing, and I think about it. I didn't set out to destroy anyone. I just wanted my backyard back. But here's what I learned, and it hit me later, not in the heat of revenge, but in the calm after it. Power doesn't corrupt loudly. It corrodes quietly. It starts with sharing builds community, and ends with someone believing your boundaries don't apply to them. And if you let that slide, once it spreads. I could have screamed, called the cops, sent angry emails. Instead, I chose something poetic. Not because I'm proud of revenge, but because sometimes consequences need to be visible. Purple even. Months later at a barbecue, a new neighbor asked, "Is it true she turned completely purple?" I sipped my drink. "Only from the neck down," I said. We laughed. The sun dipped behind the trees. The water bubbled peacefully, entirely mine. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If someone walks into your life, your property, your space, and treats it like it belongs to them, where's the line between patience and payback? Between defending your rights and becoming the villain in someone else's story? I didn't start that war, but I finished it. What would you have done? Would you have called the cops or chosen a little color-coded karma? Tell me, where do you draw the boundary? And have you ever had to defend it in a way that surprised even you?